Good morning, everybody. Grand Rising family. You are watching the Morning Update Show. I am your co-host, Trey Holiday. And you guys know we have a great lineup here for you today. Once again, you guys know our executive producer, Omari is out there in Chicago, living it up with his son before his son has to start his schooling. And so he's making sure he's settled in well. But our guy, Big O, cannot stop working, of course, and we have an amazing clip right here from Omari that is going to showcase all of the work that he's been doing. And the thing is what I love is I know Big O is out there saying, look, I still have to work to keep the people informed. So right here, here's my guy, Big O from Chicago, still putting in that work.
All right, good morning from Chicago, Illinois, Loyola University campus, just right over there across the street. Out here, day two with Omi as he gets settled in for another school year here. Lots of headlines today. One of the big things that happened there yesterday, though, was the sweep at Cal Anderson Park. Seattle Parks Department, Seattle Police Department, Department of Corrections, and a few other elements of navigation and human services swept through Cal Anderson Park yesterday and cleared out the shelter house area. They again insist that the park is closed. They again swept everybody out. Seattle Parks Department says that they've been trying to speak with people there and that people refused to leave the shelter house, so they had to enlist the assistance of the Seattle Police Department to be able to clear out the park. Like I said, Department of Corrections was also involved in the sweep yesterday. And what we found, though, and actually Jake Gravbrot and Eric Calligraphy, they put a small piece together that you'll see later on in the show. What we found, though, is that one, it looks like there's a private security firm that might have been hired by the Seattle Parks Department that's actually working there monitoring the park. Seattle Parks Department didn't mention anything about a private security firm yesterday in their press release. And two, I mean, people are just right back in the park. The shelter area, it has a fence around it, but people are already back in the park. So we'll continue to follow that. And like I said, there's a segment coming up later on in the show today, put together by Jake and Eric. But for now, let's hop into the headlines. This is from the SPD blotter. Looks like Chief Diaz wasted no time making changes on the job here, announcing that he's going to move 100 officers from specialty units to the patrol unit, basically saying in response to the public's calls for more officers on the streets and to increase response times. There's going to be a press conference today at 11 a.m. with Chief Diaz and Mayor Durkin, where they're going to expand further on this, and we'll make sure and update you. This here from the Seattle Times. Seattle Mayor Jenny Durkin asked Supreme Court to stop recall, saying none of her decisions were unreasonable. We've seen this actual recall effort here pick up a lot of momentum, and now it's going into the Supreme Court, as the Superior Court said that it can proceed. Basically, it's a group of citizens in Seattle that are saying that Mayor Durkin did not do her job in protecting citizens and allowing tear gas to be used during COVID-19. The mayor has kind of passed the buck on that, saying, hey, it wasn't my fault. That was the chief of police fault. Basically, this is getting ready to go to court. All documents are due on September 22nd. They're going to hear it, I believe, on October 8th. And if the Supreme Court says that the recall can go through, then basically the recall team there, recall Durkin, they'll have 180 days to gather 50,000 signatures to put it on a ballot. And if it gets to a ballot, it'll be a simple up or down vote. And if the mayor is recalled, City Council President Gonzalez would become mayor. Still a long ways to go to get there, but the mayor says none of her decisions were unreasonable. Let's see what the Supreme Court says. So this comes over from the office of the mayor. Looks like they're hiring over there a director of recovery and equitable investment. The job is supposed to help transition the city from COVID response and to ensure the recovery centers on communities of color who, as we know, have been severely impacted by the pandemic. It looks like it's time limited, 18 to 24 months. You get a seat on the mayor's cabinet, might be a hot seat over there, on the emergency executive board. And the payday on this is $120 to $180,000 annually. You want to follow up with the city. The job is posted right there. Again, Director of Recovery and Equitable Investment. From thestranger.com on their slog, the death of Rahwa Habte is a blow to Seattle culture. This article right here gives some introspection and looks back on Rahwa's life. She was one of the owners of the Hidmo, and especially if you're from the Central District in Seattle, but Seattle as a whole, the Hidmo was like, man, it was like a culture epicenter in the early 2000s, just right there on 20th and Jackson. And Rahwa's contribution to music and culture across the city was very dynamic. You can read more about Rahwa, and like I said, her contribution to culture and music in the city of Seattle there at thestranger.com. All right. There was some movement yesterday in the federal wrongful death lawsuit that the estate and family of Che Taylor has brought against the city of Seattle and four Seattle police officers. You remember Che Taylor was shot and killed by the Seattle police back in 2016. Judge made a summary judgment yesterday, and as Kevin Schofield, who I talked to about this, says, it's kind of a mixed bag. Some of the stuff on the city side got thrown out. Some of the stuff on the Che Taylor side got thrown out. But what's left is a lot of the facts in question. And one of those is, did Che Taylor have a weapon on him? What was he reaching for a weapon? And also, one of the big questions that the judge will need to resolve is one of qualified immunity. Talked to Kevin Schofield yesterday. The whole interview is up on the Converge Media YouTube page, or also up on the Converge Media Facebook page. Here's a short clip right here where he talks about some of the facts still to be determined and the issue of qualified immunity.
So there's this question of, do you believe the officers when they say he was reaching for a gun? And the judge said, there are facts in dispute there, so it is inappropriate for me to make a summary judgment on that. That definitely needs to go to a jury. So that was a really, really big issue around this. There are a couple of legal issues here that relate to what's called, and this is a really controversial part, called qualified immunity for police officers. And it's something that the US Supreme Court is actually wrestling with. And there are some Supreme Court justices who have said, we need to go revisit this right now. This is a policy that's been under enormous amount of scrutiny. And the judge in the Che Taylor case specifically said, quote, it's due for a major overhaul. The case law around this and where we've ended up, because it's almost a free pass for police officers in a lot of ways, this notion of qualified immunity, which says that that police officers are immune from prosecution if the facts of the case don't clearly demonstrate a constitutional violation, or the constitutional right wasn't clearly established at the time. But in this case, it's really kind of about the first one, right? Do the facts clearly demonstrate that there was a constitutional violation? If not, then they're immune to prosecution over this. So what the judge there said, again, the facts are not clear about this. And so I want a jury to weigh those facts and then come back. And at the end, after they weigh those facts, I can decide at the end, very end of this case, at the end of the trial, whether they have qualified immunity or not. But at this point, I'm not willing to say on that.
All right, very excited. We got a lot of new shows coming on board here at Converge Media. One of them, there's so much interest that our viewers are showing about the actual system and how the system works. Hope I don't get stung by this bee. How the system works, especially down at City Hall, the City Council, and everything else. There's actually a pretty dope show that's called Seattle News, Views, and Brews, and it's with Brian Callanan as well as Kevin Schofield, who you guys have gotten to know Kevin fairly well here, always breaking stuff down in bite-sized pieces and everything else. So we want to carry that show. We're actually going to start carrying it from today at 6 o'clock. So every Wednesday, 6 o'clock, it's going to be Seattle news, views, and brews. Hopefully they're bringing the brews. I was actually the guest on September 1st. It was me and Brian Callanan. Here's a clip from the show right here, and make sure and tune in tonight at 6 p.m. for the full episode.
Omari, I am so glad to connect with you on the podcast. I want you to try to tell me what's been going on over the last few months with you as an independent journalist. I've seen your career grow from, okay, I'm out covering the protests, and that's been great to see all that, to, okay, I'm sitting down, exclusive interviews with council members, making things happen with Converge Media. What has this ride been like for you, Omari?
Well, I mean, it's been interesting because it's just a bit more compacted. But, you know, we've been out here for quite a few years covering community. You know, I've sat down with, I was doing one-on-one interviews with our council member for the Central District, which is Sawant, you know, 2 or 3 years ago. But, you know, the city didn't really know that we were out there.
Right.
But for sure, we hopped into the accelerator with covering the protests. We covered, you know, I covered May Day back in 2016. So we've been covering these kind of things before, but it definitely took off covering out here for us. We had no idea that like the whole world was watching. It took a few days for us to catch up to that because to be honest with you, we're just out covering stuff like we usually do. And then it was like a few days in, people were like, well, are you Omari? Is this Converge? And I'm like, yeah. They're like, man, everybody's watching you. And you know, I think for us, when you talk about just covering or even streaming some of the protests to now sitting down there, I mean, we've talked to everybody except for the governor.
Yeah, right.
We've talked to the county executive one-on-one, talked to the mayor, the police chief, several council members, organizational leaders. But I think it's because people really see us as, you know, trying our very best to be honest brokers and just try to, you know, call it like we see it. Yeah. And what kind of tells you that although people in Seattle are saying that, you know, they're either going far left or far right, the majority of people in Seattle are really just regular people who just like when people call things like they see it. And because of that platform and coming and approaching it that way, it's kind of opened a lot of doors where people feel comfortable coming and talking to us. Lastly, before I get out of here today, man, yesterday was a big day. Omi got the keys to his very first apartment. You know, he was really excited, moving on with things. Well, he's stung out here, man. These Chicago bees are aggressive on set, man. But yeah, so we followed O yesterday. He got the keys to his apartment and started moving in. This boy is on his way. Where are we going, O?
We're going to the apartment. You know, let me get the keys real quick. Let me just, you hear that? You hear that noise? Keys to what? My first apartment. You know.
All right, O, this is your first apartment, you know, sophomore year in college. You moving in today. Tell me about it.
I'm excited. This is dope. They're still working on parts of the house right now, putting up paint, cleaning the floors, but this is gonna be fun, you know? It's different. This is definitely different from a dorm. Like, got my own living room, got my own bathroom, got dining room. Like, I don't even know what we're all gonna do with all this space that we got. So this is gonna be dope.
Big question that I know your mom and your grandmamas want to know. There's a kitchen in there. Do you plan to make use of it?
Oh yes, without a doubt. You know, I plan on making lots of cup of noodles, microwavable snacks, freezables, you know. Nothing crazy going on. I'm not really the culinary one in the family, but you know, definitely will get some good microwavable meals out of there. A few Hot Pockets, a couple struggle meals without being in the struggle, you know.
What do you think is going to be the very best part about having your own apartment?
Well, as many of you may or may not know, these past few months I've been sleeping on the couch across from the dog. So it'd be nice just to have my own space once again, You know, I haven't really had that since, I guess, like 2 years ago when I was back in high school. Because, you know, last year I was in the dorms. So it's going to be nice just to have my own space. You know, I can just retreat just to my room, chill, sleep, not be bothered. Don't got to worry about my nana. Like, why you taking a nap midday? It's like, cuz, nana, I want to sleep. Like, no worry of that going on.
My last question is, I see that there's a back door there. There's several entrances to the building. You don't have any plans to be sneaking girls in here, do you?
Oh, no, never. I wouldn't be doing that. That would be weird. So, I'm here for school and education. Come on, Dad. What do you think's going on here?
Okay, just double checking.
Yeah, of course.
Man, real proud of that young guy. You know, he's moving along. And Bobby Steels, by the way, man, Omi says you're welcome anytime. He'll put out the air mattress for you. Wants you to pop through and come hang out. You know what I'm saying? That's your guy. That's it for me here in Chicago, Illinois today. Sending it back to you, Trey Holiday.
Well, there is our guy, Big O, holding it down in Chicago and keeping us informed all the way from the Windy City. You guys, it's been a great first stop. And you guys know we got to take a break. You're watching the Morning Update Show. We'll be right back.
We're right here at East Precinct. It doesn't get any closer than this right now.
Converge Media produces culturally relevant content for Black and urban audiences. Our coverage is raw, transparent, and objective, praised by community leaders, government officials, and residents. As a small independent media company, we rely on the financial support of individuals and business members to stay on the front lines of the news that's important to you.
Welcome back, y'all, to the Morning Update Show. I'm your co-host, Trey Holiday. And we had a first great break with our guy, Big O, the Windy City, giving us all the coverage. Amazing to always know that those of us who are steeped in this work, we cannot stop. And it is clear as he gave us some really great updates. And it was also great to see Omi's first apartment. And to be honest, I was like, wait a minute, is that a fireplace? You know, and I know he has some roommates, so it's amazing that he'll have some friends in there as well. You guys, we have another clip coming up here because we've been following this story down here in Cal Anderson Park in Capitol Hill. You guys know that there was a shelter there. We've been following it as there was some houseless folks that really just kind of took over the shelter. And then the police have been, you know, kind of staying out of on the sidelines for the most part. But apparently it went down yesterday and the police came through Cal Anderson Park and did some major sweeps in that shelter area, and a few of our producers were able to pick it up. So we'll roll that for you right now.
Yeah, this is Hank McCoy. Just checking in with y'all today because the police decided to come in and perform a sweep. This is a sweep unlike any other sweep, though, because it's a coordinated sweep with what they've been calling the task force. And I'm just curious why a coordinated sweep with a coordinated task force would occur in a park where a homeless encampment was.
So the situation is right now is we're trying to get their personal belongings to them. We're trying to get their tents. We're trying to get their identification. Any of that nature, try to get this back to the homeless people. It's very imperative that we get it back to them and then find a place for them to stay. My main concern is they lost their personal stuff, their food, their belongings, their identification, their livelihood is gone. So now we're starting all over again to get all these particular personal things for them. So if you see this, speak up about it, because that could be your brother, that could be your sister that's homeless, your mother can be homeless. We're only a paycheck from being homeless now. So speak up about it. Give respect. One love.
Well, as you guys know, we're going to keep you guys informed as things progress down there. Again, we know that the sweeps happened before, and what ended up happening was pretty much they ended up coming right back. So I think this might be another thing for us to kind of keep our finger on the pulse of. Obviously, you guys know right here at Converge, we really like to try to be upbeat on these stories and make sure we're following them all the way through. This next clip, you guys, is very special to me as I was able to participate in this community event this past Sunday. It's called Maifa. And for those of you who don't know, Maifa means tragedy in Kiswahili. And what the community has been doing for over 10 years is gathering together once a year to celebrate, commemorate, and uplift the legacy of those who came on the boats, those who came from the ships, and also those who decided to jump off, and said, I'm not going to be a slave. I don't want to be in this new land. It is a way for us to always remember the legacy of our people that have come here before us. And so with that, I present you guys Maifa 2020.
They become old, they pass on. We give thanks today for those whose shoulders we stand on. But that is why we are here. That's why we know to come here today. Because we were called by our ancestors. And we honor them today knowing that we stand on their shoulders.
What does Maifa mean to you?
What it means to me is commemorating the dead, the people who somehow got off the ship in mid-passage to the United States, to Brazil, to wherever they were going. And it means to honor them and to remember what they did and to live in memory of their action.
It's paying homage to those that survived that Atlantic. It pays homage to those on the other side that are looking down and sending down their blessing us day by day.
A sacred honoring of our ancestors' struggle and pain, and a transformation of that pain into a future of freedom and power.
Maifa means that we gotta go back through to get to where we're trying to get to. And we have to remember our ancestors and where we came from in order to find that inner strength sometime to get through what we're going through today.
Thank you.
Okay.
What does Maifa mean to you?
Oh, Maifa is in Kiswahili means tragedy. Just a horrible incident which occurred to us for over 400 years, and so we're reckoning with that. And we do this every year to remember the fallen ones, the ancestors that came before us.
Amazing. Thank you.
You're welcome. Maifa is in Kiswahili means tragedy. Just a horrible incident which occurred to us for over 400 years, and so we're reckoning with that. And we do this every year to remember the fallen ones, the ancestors that came before us.
The science says when we clap in rhythm, we are not just making good noise. We are, in fact, in training for empathy. As we clap in rhythm, we in training for empathy and set ourselves up to act compassionately towards one.
Wow. I can just say, because I was there, it was an amazing experience. It was actually my first year participating in Maifa, and Honestly, to see all of those beautiful faces, everybody dressed in white, coming down to the water at sunrise, just an amazing experience for my person, for sure. And to those in the community, if you don't know about Maifa, if you want to participate next year, please reach out to me. I would love to make sure that those in our community are experiencing this amazing event as we commemorate the life and legacy of so many that come before us. Honestly, I was so elated, and I was so filled that day, leaving the community, and they leave you off well with a breakfast as well. So not only are you coming out to celebrate with people in community and come together, but you get fed afterwards, because you did make that sacrifice to be up so early in the morning. And trust me, it is very early. So we also have an update, you guys. You guys know we stay on stories, and so this is another update. We've been following the CHOP art as it left CHOP, basically as it came into CHOP, got put up in CHOP, left the CHOP, and we've been following this art, and our very own Bobby Stills put this clip together. So we want to air this for you guys now, so you guys have a full update about CHOP art.
So I'm Sakura. I first got involved with the CHOP when one of the spray paint artists asked me to be involved by painting one of the barricades. So I painted a piece about George Floyd and another piece about Breonna Taylor. And then I got more involved with the art co-op as the CHOP was sort of progressing. Helped disassemble and store the art so it was preserved, and then continued with doing our chop ups and working at King Street Station to catalog and photograph the art.
Tell us a little bit about about the facility that we're in, how it's being stored, and how you actually were able to store the art here.
Yeah, so the building we're in right now is called King Street Station, and we've been working with the Office of Arts and Culture. And so they sort of reached out to us, and then we've had a number of people in our group and outside of our group that have been reaching out to them. And we've been working, we primarily in the beginning wanted to work to get the art out of the SDOT containers because those were taken from the CHOP and being stored outside. So we were given a tour of King Street Station about a month and a half ago. And so we have 2 different rooms that we've been using to catalog and to store the art. So we put down plastic and moving blankets. We have risers and shelving for the arts that we've created. We've been sort of using the materials that we have and that we bought. And we're working to inventory and catalog and photograph the art. We've also been collecting art from the CHOP after it was raided in July, and going around to the buildings and the businesses and asking them if they would be interested in us storing the pieces, since we have a lot of storage space here at King Street.
Okay, now speaking about the cataloging, a little bit more about that. And it's not just about the cataloging either. It's there's been concerns about people, some of the artists wanting their art back, and or some of the people that have taken some of the art from the CHOP. Has there been any artists that have reached out to you that you've returned the art to, and or have there been any pieces that people have actually turned in? And how can people, if they do have art, how can they contact somebody to so you guys can store and catalog it?
So one of our priorities was definitely making sure that the art was safe and preserved. We had to kind of air it out at first because it was outside and it was exposed to a lot of chemicals like the tear gas and stuff. So we wanted to make sure we had everything kind of here, safely stored. We did a catalog process that we kind of created on our own. And then we started taking photographs We did also start creating a forum for artists to fill out eventually, because we have had artists reach out to us. So we would love to reunite the artists with their pieces eventually. We want to be able to get, like, for a moment in history, we want to be able to catalog and document everything first. And then we will start having, through social media and our website, once we get everything basically set in stone, we will start creating a way for artists to be reunited with their pieces, because we would love to give credit to anybody who has pieces here, especially if it's something very, very important, which all of it is very important. It's expression, art, and we would love the artists to get credit for it, especially for moving forward with like galleries.
And for people that have any questions, concerns, want to reach out to you through social media, how can they contact you guys to keep up to date with what you guys have going on, and maybe where they can view the art, and do you have any upcoming events that you guys are doing or working on?
Yeah. So we did do one chop up at the end of July, and that was the same day that the protests happened in Capitol Hill around the East Precinct. And so we've been trying consistently to do chop ups every Saturday at Cal Anderson from 12 to 6. And so we will take a few select pieces, and then we'll reassemble some boxes. And then our social media, we are on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook, and it's all Seattle Chop Art. So if you want to know about our events or updates, that's the fastest and easiest way to find out.
Great work right there, Bobby Stills. Again, we want to stay informed right here in our community with regards to that art. And one of the things that I love that they said specifically was that they're following this. They're staying there with their finger on the pulse to make sure that the artists who really put their heart and soul into their work in the chop, that they also are going to be able to be recognized for that work. And so that's one of the things that I really appreciate about this journey and us following that pathway of all of this amazing chop art. You guys know this movement has been either birthing artists, uplifting artists, spotlighting artists, highlighting their works, and I love that because so many of these amazing artists have always lived in our city, and they're actually really just now beginning to bubble up to the surface where people understand how important it is that we keep artistry alive. So shout out to all of those guys over there holding it down for the chop art. And our last clip today, you guys, is going to leave us feeling very well. Welcome to our clips we're calling Wellness Wednesdays. We were able to catch up with a wellness professional and get some insight. So here it is, Wellness Wednesday.
Physical health is just one piece, one pillar of health. It's not the end all be all. It doesn't solve a lot of the issues that people come to the gym for, like managing depression, anxiety, self-confidence, self-worth, self-love, a lot of those things. It doesn't do that. So, for me, I've been able to do a lot with my internal issues, like I said, anxiety, depression, and I like to teach that stuff because not a lot of people have those tools that allow them to handle that. I've been training in Seattle for 11 years, and I love what I do because I love teaching and helping people make their lives better through health.
Well, it's about 4 after. Let's go ahead and get moving. Again, if you have any requests, let me know. Perry, what's good, man? Good morning, good to see you.
A lot of people are struggling with COVID, and I saw the opportunity to help people because I'm like, look, everything is so up in the air right now. People need consistency. They need something consistent because everything's changing so much. And people need a reason to wake up in the morning, and they need good people to be around, and they need some tools to allow them to just handle this year. And so I started this, the morning routine, Monday through Friday. I get online at 7 o'clock every day. One of my superpowers is consistency. Every morning, Monday through Friday. And I'll let you know if I'm not gonna be there. I don't sleep in. I'm gonna be there every morning so you can bank no matter what's going on in the world.
Josh is going to be online. So you have that security. You know Josh is going to be there. We're going to work on some stretching, which nobody does. Nobody stretches. We're going to do some meditation, and we're going to do some writing, some thinking about life, or getting out, you know what I'm saying, spilling the tea on paper, getting that stuff out. I wanted to not just physical health. I wanted to teach people the practical tools of mental and emotional health. I'm not doing any woo-woo. I'm not preaching hallelujah. None of that. That's not my lane. But I can teach people like, hey, let's get into your body. Let's move. Hey, let's get inside of you. Let's calm the inside. And then, hey, let's do some writing. I do my morning routine live every morning on Instagram. My Instagram handle is Treat Your Health Podcast.
Amazing. And I might have to follow him and get my morning routine in shape. Shout out to Nikki and our very own Bobby for putting that together. You know, a lot of us over here on the Converge side always working hard to bring you guys great content. And honestly, with that, I am done for today, you guys. I'm going to go ahead and stand up and do a proper salutation for you all. Again, if you guys are enjoying what you're seeing right here on the Morning Update Show, please like it, share it with a friend, tag somebody as you start a watch party, invite your friends to learn and grow with you as we keep on bringing you guys content that we feel is important to our community. We appreciate all the donations and all the support. You guys can find us at whereweconverge.com, where all of this material is also there. So please feel free to share that with a friend, and if you're feeling so inclined, stop by, grab a sweatshirt, get some merch. All of those things are so helpful to us over here at this small business. We appreciate you all. And with that, it's been a great one. Please make it a great Wednesday, you all. We'll be back tomorrow at 11 a.m. Peace.
Lift every voice and sing till earth in heaven ring with the harmonies of liberty. Let our rejoicing rise as the listening skies. Let it resound loud as the rolling sea. Sing a song full of the faith that the dark past has taught us. Sing a song full of the hope that the present has brought us. Facing the rising sun.